I don't have a lot of intuitives on. I don't have a lot of, well, I do have a lot of spiritual teachers on, but I don't have a lot of spiritual teachers with your level of experience on. But you're the real deal, Sonia, and I had to have you on.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve, because my mission is to teach people that we are all intuitive.
Absolutely.
And it's the spiritual voice. It's not something that should be separated out as a peculiarity, but as an essential reflection of being tuned into our highest nature. It's part of our divine makeup.
And it's really the only way to truly align yourself, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And it's the part of your spirit that is your inner barometer that reflects back to you, that informs you on a cellular level whether or not you are in alignment with your authentic truth, with your purpose, with your divine agreements, in right relationship to those around you. It is the only feedback system that really doesn't lie. Your intellect can lie, what you see can be inaccurately perceived, but your inner voice is your indelible reflection. It's your indelible feedback system, God-given. Just like the birds have radar, the whales have sonar, we have vibes. We have an inner voice that is experienced vibrationally.
Now, and we've all experienced this. Everybody listening, I have a very spiritual audience, and I also have a very secular audience. We are an absolutely enormous audience, Sonia. And I know you have a show on Hay House.
Right.
Sonia's got a website. It's SoniaChoquette.com. That's SoniaChoquette.com. You could check out her radio show link to Hay House Radio. But now, Sonia, a lot of people have this. How many times have you walked into a place?
Has it.
Yeah, they've all said, I get a good vibe or bad vibe from this place or that person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is what we have is poor information and poor imprinting and education about it. But,
it's almost like we're socially conditioned out of it?
Absolutely. Well, I first want to start by saying at this point in the game, even science acknowledges and recognizes that we are biologically created as sixth sensory, that we have a sixth sense, and they have isolated parts of the brain, parts of the heart, even parts of the neural ganglion in the stomach that provide inner guidance. So anybody who doesn't believe in intuition is poorly informed. They are not current in terms of scientific awareness. So that's the first thing. So this is not a matter of do you believe it, don't you believe it. We've evolved, fortunately, beyond that question.
So we're past, in the sense, we're going to go to break in a second, so I want to kind of
The new question is, how does it work, and how do I make it work for me? And that's what I've devoted my life to.
Okay, fantastic. Again, we're so honored to have Sonia Choquette on. Her website is SoniaChoquette.com. She has a ton of information on her website, links, programs, her event calendar. Couldn't be any busier, so check out SoniaChoquette.com. You're listening to Empowered Living, Life, the Truth, and Being Free. I'm your host, Steve Maraboli. We'll be right back with Sonia. Welcome back. You're listening to Empowered Living, Life, the Truth, and Being Free. I'm your host, Steve Maraboli. I forgot to mention our newsletter at abettertoday.com. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. It's fantastic. It's some blogs, some writing, some information about upcoming radio shows. This radio show goes to 2 hours come December 31st. And again, next year is going to be no different than this year. We're going to have fantastic authors on, some guests. We're going to do some mini seminars. Because it's 2 hours long, I know I always tell you all to call, and I almost never take calls. With the 2 hour show, I'll probably take some calls, so you can call in. And of course, our series with James Redfield is going to continue on. I've got a couple other series that might come back, and you'll be hearing from some of your favorite authors throughout the year. We're speaking with Sonia Choquette. She's just an extraordinary spiritual teacher. I'm honored to have her on. She's a best-selling author. She's written 10 books that have been published in over 30 countries. We were talking about intuition. We're talking about this God-given gauge, this God-given power. And Sonia, in a lot of ways, we're conditioned out of it. And as a society itself, it's almost become voodoo at some point. But people are awakening to it. What is it really?
Well, first of all, intuition comes from the word, it derives from the word inner teacher. That's what intuition means. We have an inner teacher, and it is the voice of our spirit, the essence that brings us consciousness, our divine aliveness. And the spirit in us transcends the intellect in us. That's external tuition. What we derive from the environment. Your intuition is what you derive from your spirit, from your source. Now, it can be broken down into three types. We have three types of intuition. The first type is what we call subconscious awareness. We are picking up at all times so much more information than we consciously process. So it goes into this big store bank, into the subconscious mind, and becomes available as we call it up later.
Is this an unlimited amount of data? This
Absolutely, it's like it's like being connected to the internet.
And it's really it's not. I've tried to explain it before, or something to this effect, and it's not really like you have to remember it. It's more like you're at a library and you access it
as needed,
right?
As called for. So that is where, and that kind of intuition is sort of your aha or bright idea or it just occurred to me, or a flash. Then we have a second type of intuition that's called telepathy. And many people have talked about telepathy. It's that our consciousness is not limited to our body, and there is a metamorphic field of a sea of consciousness of all that is. It travels between people. A classic example of this is when AIDS was discovered by two scientists simultaneously, one in the United States and one in France. And they argued about who was first, or they both kind of happened upon and maybe even worked telepathically exchanging information. So, and this is when someone calls you on the phone and you say, "Oh, I was just thinking about you," or "That's so strange. You just crossed my mind," and here you are. And then the third is the highest form of intuition, is that of your spirit. That's that deep knowing in your bones, in your heart, in your belly, in your gut, that I just know this feels right for me, or this feels wrong. And as you pay attention and work those muscles, that awareness becomes more and more conscious and gets more and more specific. Hence, we develop what are known as psychic skills. And the only reason the word psychic is so provocative is that word cuts through everything. And it derives from the soul. And we have a culture that has been historically not that comfortable acknowledging that we have a soul body that grows just like the rest of us. So it's uncomfortable because we've amputated it out of our conscious comfort zone, but it's being reintegrated.